Welcome to My Journey with Paula G, where we are juggling this journey called life while we're walking in the gifts and the talents that God has given us. Thank you all so much for joining us wherever you are listening or viewing from around the world. Welcome to the journey. If this is your first time on the journey, oh my goodness, thank you for being a part of this and embracing this. And if you're returning and you've been following us for a while, we certainly appreciate your continued support because I always tell you all each and every week that time is precious. It is the one thing that you cannot get back. So for you to think it not robbery to spend this time with us is truly, truly appreciated. And we also like to thank those who have joined the journey through their underwriting support, and that would be our underwriters. Because without our underwriters, we would not be able to provide this platform upon which we bring this programming to you each and every episode. So we thank them so very much. And if you have a business, if you have a project, if you have a service and you're interested in gaining exposure in front of an audience, we welcome your underwriting support. You can reach out to us at Paula at paulagvoice.com or jerryvoicelive@gmail.com. Shout out to Jerry Voice Live, our producer. You can reach out to us, put underwriting opportunities in the subject line, and we will be sure to follow up with you on those opportunities for you. Also, I invite you to like, share, subscribe, follow, join Paula G Voice across all social media platforms. It's the same. Paula G Voice. I like to make things easy. I believe in making things simple. Also, my website, paulagvoice.com. You can find episodes from my past radio shows, this current television show. We are streaming on a variety of platforms to include Positive Power 21, the weekend channel. If you miss episodes and you want to catch up, also, my book is available, My Journey to Lady Wisdom After Midnight. We're going to talk a little bit about that today as well, and a variety of other items that may be of interest to you. So, invite you to visit my website, apologyvoice.com, to continue to embrace the journey. Well, today I want to talk a bit about there was a it was a devotion that I read. I read several daily devotions each day. And this one was entitled Journey to Stability. And that title caught me. Journey to Stability. And you know, this show is all about journey, juggling this journey called life while walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us. But knowing and recognizing that for each and every one of us, sometimes that journey is a rough journey. Sometimes that journey is a paralyzing journey. So, what do you do while you're juggling this journey called life and attempting to walk in the gifts and talents that God has given you? You know, I get so many questions about how I started this journey. My life today is different than what it was in the past, and I've literally have transformed my life, and it really has been a blessing to hear others share how that transformation has encouraged them, especially people who have known me for more than 20 years. You know, they have shared, you know, you really have changed your life. You really have changed the trajectory of your life. You took that situation, what do they say? You take lemons and you make lemonade. You've risen from the ashes. You have just really changed the trajectory of your life. How did you do it? Well, I will share with you that it was not an easy journey. It was not an overnight journey. And any of you that have been through a journey and are now on the other side of that can render a testimony as well. You could sit and share your journey as well, because we all have one. But the power of all of us sharing our journeys is that in each individual journey, something could be said on my journey that might resonate with this person. Something that could be said that was on your journey could resonate with someone else. So it's important to share because all of us are going on this journey called life. We're walking through different scenarios. And along the way, as we or those of us who have come out on the other side share, we can help others come out on the other side. And there may be those of you, you may be a man, you may be a woman, you may be listening to this, you may be viewing this, you may be in the depths of despair because of a current situation, because of some sort of loss in your life that you're grieving, whether it's a death, whether it's a loss of a relationship. We all grieve. We all grieve, and we have to allow ourselves the opportunity to grieve. And I believe sometimes we don't allow ourselves that. I'm guilty of that as well. I was so busy just trying to get through each day, and I was so busy surviving and so busy doing what needed to be done on the daily basis, going about the business of daily life, that I did not allow myself to grieve. And it wasn't until years later, when things slowed down and came to a halt, that those buried feelings, there's a book entitled Buried Feelings Never Die, that those buried feelings began to bubble up. And at the time, I didn't know where they had come from, because I was where I believed I was to be on the other side of the journey. Okay, I've gotten over that. I'm past that. I'm through it. Why am I having these feelings? Because if I were to go back and peel back those layers, as I call it, I realized that I actually hadn't come through it. I had just suppressed it. I had just covered it up. And those feelings that were covered up, those feelings that were suppressed, never had a chance to be processed. So, in a sense, years later, I'm grieving something that occurred years before. I hope I'm making sense to y'all. Years later, I was grieving something that I had not allowed myself to grieve in the moment. And I would encourage you who are listening, who are viewing, who are dealing with something right now, give yourself the space to express those feelings in the moment. If it's hurt, pain, anger, whatever those feelings are, because whether we realize it or not, those feelings get suppressed if they are not given a healthy outlet, a healthy outlet. I've been one that has been engaged in fitness, all my life, because I believe in good health. I believe in being healthy. I believe in taking care of this temple that God has given us. I think it's in Corinthians. No, not Corinthians. It's in the New Testament. I can't remember off the top of my head, but um, where it speaks to the body being the temple. It'll come to me. Maybe it was Corinthians. I can't remember, but it where it speaks to the body being the temple. This is the only temple that God has given us, and we have to take care of that temple. So I've always been one that has worked out and has engaged in fitness, but during this particular season, I found myself utilizing that as therapy, if you will, utilizing that as a means to deal with some of the feelings that I was feeling at that particular time. We have to find a healthy way to 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 allow ourselves to process those feelings. I am a strong advocate. I know some people fight it tooth and nail. I'm a strong advocate of counseling and therapy, an object of good counselor, good therapist. Be prayerful about that. That God will lead you, present to you, put in your path a therapist, a counselor, someone that can help you process these feelings. And I've determined in the midst of what I was going through that I needed to give myself the opportunity, although I didn't wasn't completely successful at it because I still had some things that I was dealing with some years later, but making a conscious effort to, however painful this thing is, I have got to purge all of these emotions that come along with it. Because when I come out on the other side, I want to be whole. I want to be at peace. I don't want all these triggers, that will take me back. I don't want all this baggage, that pulls me back into a season of grief and anger and hurt and pain. I want to be able to process through those feelings. We've got to allow ourselves to do that. And I know a lot of times we suppress them and we just, I don't want to deal with it. But I'm a witness that in order to come out on the other side, because people ask me all the time, you seem so at peace and you seem so calm and you seem so full of joy. That's because I got rid of all that stuff, y'all. I got rid of all of that stuff. So if you are listening to this, if you are viewing this and you are in the midst of, I just had divorce. I don't see life on the other side of divorce. I just lost a loved one. I don't see life on the other side of this. Allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself those feelings, allow yourself to feel that and process that so you can heal. It is not going to happen overnight. And I'm not sitting here confessing to you that you at the moment can see life on the other side, because when I was in the midst and somebody told me, oh, there's life on the other side of divorce or whatever the situation, I couldn't see it at that moment. So I'm not even going to begin to try to convince you, oh, look at it this way so that you can see that there's life on the other side. Because at the moment, you're not feeling it because you're in pain. And I get that. But what I'm encouraging you to do at this moment is just allow yourself to process through. Don't get stuck in it. Don't get paralyzed in that pain, but find a way, whether it's therapy, whether it's through prayer, find a way to allow yourself to process through those feelings so that when you do begin to heal, that you can heal properly and that you can heal in a healthy way and that you can heal in a healthy manner. We're going to take a break. And when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, that journey to stability. And I'm going to share a little bit more of my journey in hopes that it will help you um, to be able to unlock that negative mindset. Some people say let go of the past. I say process through the past to create a new narrative. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back after these messages, we will continue this journey. Gabriella Nalvin has written a delightful children's book entitled Athena, The Adventures of a Fearless Dragon. This is a heartwarming story about a little dragon born with her two back feet missing. And during her journey across the country, searching for a new home, she and her brothers learned to work together to survive while strengthening their sibling bond. Athena, The Adventures of a Fearless Dragon is now available on digital platforms. Welcome back to My Journey with Paula G, where we are juggling this journey called life while we're walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us. And before the break, we were talking a bit about the journey to stability, and I was referencing a devotion that I had read in regard to the individuals going through some difficult times and what they did to navigate those difficult times in order to get to a point of stability, because that is the goal. On the other side of these storms of life, and that was another episode we talked about the storms of life, and on the other side of these trials and tribulations that we go through in life, these difficult seasons in life, we must allow ourselves to process the emotions, to process, to unpack all of that baggage that we have, and piece by piece, to deal with it, to look at it square in the face, and to release it, to let it go, and to unroll and to unpack it in a manner that we can release it with peace and say, I've dealt with that, and now I can let it go for it never to return. We've got to process through some of these things in order for us to come to a place of wholeness. I'm a witness, y'all. I'm telling you, I am a witness, y'all. There were times where I couldn't see the next day. And I had to get to the point, and I'm encouraging you, I'm sharing a bit of my experiences, but I always like to share in such a manner that's not so personal, but that it's something that will help you. You are in the midst. Just, Paula, I can only take it 1 minute at a time. We'll take it 1 minute at a time. I can only take it 1 hour at a time. process that 1 hour. Don't think beyond that 1 hour. I can only take it one day at a time, Paula. Get yourself through that day. At the end of that day, at the end of that hour, at the end of that minute, celebrate that you've gotten through that day, that hour, that minute. And then go on to the next day, that hour, that minute. Okay, I've gotten through this day. It was painful, it was hard, it was rough, and I don't feel like I made a whole lot of progress, but I got through it. I'm here in position to wake up another morning because every morning that you wake up is an opportunity for you to move closer to the goal of stability, to the goal of your wholeness, to the goal of transforming your life. It is a continual journey. And as I mentioned in the episode past, we never want to stop in the middle of a journey. We never want to get stuck because sometimes if we were to be honest, sometimes we do get stopped. We do stop. We do get a bit paralyzed when we're on this journey, when we're grieving or when we're dealing with something. I'm just stuck. I can't move forward. And I get that, and that happens. And if that's something that you need to allow yourself, be gentle with yourself, allow yourself that. But know that that is not a permanent residence for you, that at some point, we have to continue step by step moving forward. I'm not saying just get over it. Mm-mm. I'm saying at some point, I've been kind of stuck. I've been paralyzed here, but I have to try to take one step forward, even if it's a baby step, a half step forward. Let me work on that. And once I accomplish that and achieve that, how did I do that? Think back, reflect. How did you do that? Then apply what you learned there and take another step forward. Okay, how did I get 2 steps forward? What did I learn? I just kept going. I kept praying every morning. That's how I got here. I got up and took a walk every day. That's how I got here. Apply those lessons learned, those tools to continue to move forward. And slowly, 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 you feel yourself getting stronger every day. And as you get stronger every day, you can then begin to entertain what does life now look like on the other side of this. I am on the road to healing because I've unlocked all of these things. I've released these things. I've dealt with these things. Let me back up. I've dealt with these things and I've been able to now release them because I've dealt with them. I've had to forgive. I've forgiven. I've let them go. I've forgiven others. I've forgiven myself. But I have let these things, I've been able to let these things go. I still got more that I need to let go of, but I can begin to feel myself coming out of the ashes. I could begin to see a dim light at the end of the tunnel. So now that I can begin to think of what is my life going to look like on the other side of this? Who am I? There was a question I would ask, my audience, my followers, what is your I am? There was a time where I couldn't answer the question. I am so and so's spouse. I'm so and so's mother, so and so's grandmother. All these labels which I carry with honor, and I'm appreciative to have been and continue to be in some of those roles. But when someone asked me, "Who is Paula?" I teared up because I couldn't answer the question. And I had to begin the journey to being able to answer the I am. I am a sagacious, independent lifestyle influencer who has transformed her life, is encouraging others to do the same, who have gone through the storms of life, encouraging others to transform their lives, unlock that negative mindset, and embrace a new narrative for themselves. That is who I am. And that is how this journey for me continues. And it's such an encouragement when I hear from you all and how you share how, me sharing my journey or sharing these tips or sharing suggestions on how they can navigate a particular season, how much it resonates and has resonated with some of you, how some of you have been able to relate to it, and how it has helped you to get to that next minute. It's helped you to get through that next hour, that next day. It's helped you to take that baby step. And that is such a blessing to me. I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for using me to help others. There are others that you may listen to the journey, and it's like, Paul, I'm not feeling it. I'm not getting what it is that you're saying. I encourage you to continue to listen. I encourage you to continue to view not only myself, but others as well, and to ask God to speak through you, ask God to speak to you through one of these vessels. It doesn't necessarily have to be me, it can be any vessel, any means that God speaks to you through that vessel. And He speaks to you and tells you what it is that you need to know, what is it is that you need to hear in that moment, in that season, to help you get to your journey, through your journey. When I wrote my book, My Journey to Lady Wisdom After Midnight, it truly was a journey from who I was to who I have become. And at the time that I had written the book, I was co-hosting a radio show. There were several of us that were on the show, and I was given the title of Lady Wisdom After Midnight because of the contribution I made to this particular panel. I was the senior host. So my perspective was a bit different than from some of my younger sisters. So I earned the title of Lady Wisdom, and I have to give my dear, beautiful friend, voice of an angel, Shay Samuels, a shout out because she's the one that coined that phrase, Lady Wisdom After Midnight, and the show aired after midnight. So that is how I obtained that title. But that was my journey from who I was to who I became at that moment. Each and every one of you has a journey that you're on. At some part, you might be at the beginning stages from who you were. You might still be who you were because you're still navigating that. Who you were to who it is you are to become. That is a journey. It does not occur overnight. I encourage you to be gentle with yourself. I encourage you to be forgiving of yourself. I encourage you to allow yourself time. If you've been in a 20 some year relationship and it has just ended a couple years ago, you need time. You need time to process. You need time to heal before you can engage in any other kind of relationship. And that is the reason why so many relationships falter, because we've got two broken people coming together to soothe each other through each person's brokenness. And the only one that can heal us is the man above with our own individual help. We have got to work on us before we can come to the table and unite in any kind of relationship. We've got to clear out that suitcase, clear out that negative mindset, process that hurt and that pain. And it is hard, believe me, it's hard. Process that hurt and that pain, all of those emotions, all of those feelings, process those things so we can then walk into the authenticity of who it is we are, embrace that journey, and move on to what God has in store for us in the future. So I hope that you've gained something from this conversation today. I hope that and I pray that it has been encouraging to you and that there's a nugget that you can take that will help you embrace your journey and continue your journey. And that, unfortunately, is all the time that we have for today's episode. Thank you all so much for joining us, for listening, for tuning in. Our underwriters, we appreciate you all. Oh my goodness, we appreciate you all so very much. And if you're interested in learning more about underwriting with My Journey with Paula G, visit us at paula@paulagvoice.com or jerryvoicelive@gmail.com. Make sure you put underwriting opportunities in the subject line. And also continue to follow, like, share, join Paula G Voice across all social media platforms, as well as paulagvoice.com, my website. And until next time, remember, the greatest conversation you will ever have is the one that takes place in between your ears. What are you speaking to yourself? Is God a part of that conversation? And are you listening to his still small voice? Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, embrace the journey. Hey, family, this is Paula G, host of My Journey with Paula G. And I always get asked the same questions. How did you get started in radio? I want to start my own podcast, but I don't know how. Or, Paula, I'm going to be a guest on a radio show and I'm not quite sure what to say or how to brand myself. And then I get asked questions about how did you transform your life from who you were to who you are today? Well, I have put the answers to those questions in courses. The Mindset Journey course, how to start your own podcast, and how to be a great radio or television show guest. So I invite you to visit my website at paulagvoice.com and engage in one of the courses that are of interest or need to you. I'm a person that I like to hear what the problem is that someone has and be able to solve the problem. And within the gifts and talents that I have, that God has given me, I want to share with you some tips on how to be a great radio or television show guest, how to start your own podcast, and unlocking the negative mindset and creating a new narrative. Visit my website at paulagvoice.com, enroll in one of the courses, and embrace the journey. And also, if you'd like to reach out to me, if you have any questions, Paula at paulagvoice.com. And remember, the greatest conversation you will ever have is the one that takes place in between your ears. What are you speaking to yourself? Is God a part of that conversation? And are you listening to his still small voice? Until next time, embrace the journey.